Welcome back, Officers Republics, your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS for an episode of APGAINS at night. It's just APGAINS, but it is indeed harder to see me. So, funny story, I actually recorded the opposite of this video, talked to many people, and then hours later, I decided to completely delete the video and redo it with what I believe to be much better information and much better strategy for all of you guys. So, due diligence happened. Congratulations, APGAINS using brain cells. So really quickly, I'm sure I titled this something stupid, but I think the sentiment stands. Don't farm Crate Dragon teams. Obviously, where are my squads here? We got our Worm Raid squads here. We got Jabba, we got Tuskens, we got Mandos, we got Old Republic, we got Jawas. Don't farm them. The reason I say this, contrary to what I used to believe, is, well, I guess I was just convinced. And here's the argument. So before I go too crazy and you guys stop loving me or whatever, just listen, and I think I'll be able to help convince some of you, those of you worth saving. The reason I say don't farm crate teams, not to be over, whatever, too much sensation, whatever word that is that I was trying to say. It's the middle of the night, and to say I'm tired would be an under-representation of the state of my brain cells. I believe that you should not farm Crate Dragon teams for the same reason that I am morally against Territory War Omicrons. The reason, for context, the reason I'm morally opposed to Territory War Omicrons is two parts. The most important and leading part is because I'm an asshole. And by asshole, I mean I mostly care about GAC, and I think that the game is fun because of GAC, and I like to do everything in my power to win as much as humanly possible because that's where I find enjoyment in the game, and much of my audience feels the same way. If you feel differently, that's totally fine. The second point is, just like Territory War Omicrons, Crate Dragon teams don't help your guild. Wait, APGAINS, that makes absolutely no sense. What do you mean? Oh, but there's a part two to that. They don't help your guild unless everyone does it. So if you apply, the Mara Jade Omicron, it's not going to do anything for your guild, right? If you have 50 Mara Jade Omicrons in the Mara Jade Omicron heyday, it's going to be fantastic. If you have one Territory War Omicron on your Phasma team, it's going to do nothing. But if you have 50 of them, you're going to be a lot more successful. The thing about, I guess, this raid in particular, kind of CPIT, but mostly this raid because it's unique to the amount of teams you can use, and also territory battles and territory wars and more guild-focused stuff, is you get drowned out by the sheer enormity of the task, right? So your individual additions are meaningless unless everyone else is kind of contributing, right? So I will offer you this to satisfy those of you guys who are upset at me at the moment. Don't farm Crate Dragon teams like Jabba. Oh, wait, I just pissed off more of you. Hear me out. How long would it take you to start a fresh Jabba farm if you're an early to mid, obviously endgame players? They have the teams, and you guys are enjoying the rewards. The rewards are good for you and terrible for everyone else. To the point even where it's actually probably a smart thing for my guild to do the Sith raid instead of the Crate raid, which is kind of funny because we're 430 million. I used to think that was a big GP, but CG disagrees. Let's just say it takes you anywhere from 9 to 12 months to get Jabba. If you're unprepared, like you don't have Jedi Knight Luke, that means you don't have access to like Rolo and Hoda and Wampa and stuff like that. Where's the journey guide? I feel like I can never accurately click on the journey guide. Like, it will take you much longer to get Jabba than you're probably thinking it will, right? You need Rolo, you need, Wampa and all that stuff. Maybe Rolo is for JML. I honestly don't even know. It doesn't tell you the full requirements here. Yeah, you need Rolo, and you need Wampa, or at least I thought you needed Wampa. You need Hoda. Wampa's in here somewhere, I imagine, I think. Do I remember? Am I an idiot? Is Wampa not a requirement? Oh, I didn't scroll all the way back. You do need Wampa. So Jabba is going to take you a really fucking long time, and on top of that, he requires very high relics, which I don't know if you guys... Wait, timeout. Have you guys been paying attention? You guys are 4 minutes and 44 seconds in. Have you been paying attention? They changed the rewards on the raid, so they suck. So now you can't get Relic 8 materials. And guess what? You kind of need Relic 8 materials to get Jabba so that you can do the raid really well. So Jabba is kind of harder than ever to acquire, right? So let's say one person gets Jabba, you get an extra 2.7 million. That's going to do nothing. 2.7 million, let's plug it into the moist meter. Let's check. Oh, that doesn't help at all. If you have, say, 50 Jabbas, you get 135 million, which is a lot and will make substantial differences. So 50 Jabbas would be great. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to make a stupid joke, and then I'm going to offer real, tangible advice to the people who've been listening for 5.5 minutes that I think will really help your guilds. I think it will really help you, and I think it will offer a meet-in-the-middle alternative to the guild leaders who are trying to have me assassinated right now and the people who care about GAC. And I promise it's probably the best thing that we can do at the moment. So, farming Jabba is going to take a long time. And CG has expressed, they have expressed quite vigorously that these, like Conquest, like GCs, and like other things, have the ability to be changed quickly. It is the prevailing idea among those in the know that every time we get a big team, the raid is going to switch to something that more aligns with that. And since we have a new system where you can only use certain characters in the raid, you can only use certain factions. Let's say you spend 12 months farming up your Jabba team, only for 15 to 18 months from now, a new raid comes out where Jabba is no longer even a character that you're allowed to use, and instead it's, some bullshit like Rey or something like that, right? You're going to have a fantastic GAC team, but you're going to have the same problem all over again. You guys are going to get dogged in the new Exegol raid or whatever, and you're still going to not really be that great in the crate raid, and you're probably still going to have to do the Sith raid because that's the one that's going to give you the best rewards, which makes absolutely no fucking sense. So pushing Jabba is likely, in 95+% of situations, probably not the best thing that you guys can do. What is my alternative? As much as I hate to say it, Jabba is locked behind the ridiculousness of his own farm now that R8s are not attainable, now that you can't even get 2 from raids and stuff like that. So it's harder to get Rolo. You need get 1, which you're not getting a lot of for Wampa and Hoda. And just, you got to farm a bunch of marquee characters and stuff like that. Tuskens just suck in GAC. Maul is locked behind Proving Grounds. Jedi Knight Revan is a fantastic character, but with Jedi, and I wouldn't recommend relicking these people, and the Jabbas just suck in everything. I would say, as much as I hate to say it, I think putting effort into, if you have it, the Maul team will yield dividends. I'd say you can get 10 to 20 million if everyone is focusing a little bit more effort into their Maul team to bump up relics. I think you get 10 to 20 million across the guild if everyone does that. I think if you all commit to, say, R3 Tuskens, which is steep and will mess up your farms, especially in an era where we're dealing with Leviathan, we're getting backbone teams like Malgus and Cal coming out very frequently. There's just content. As far as characters are concerned, it's not the best GAC move, but you can probably add 45 to 50 million if you all have R3 Tuskens. You can add 10 to 20 million by just improving the Maul team. So let's just say you get an extra, 60 to let's call it 60 to 70 million by doing that. It's going to be a lot faster, a year faster than farming Jabba. You're going to take a little bit of a haircut in GAC because the Tuskens aren't fantastic. But, let's say you aren't even at the break-even point, right? You can get to the break-even point. Or if you are at the break-even point, you're 60 to 70% of the way to getting to the next one. And then all it takes is, maybe 5 people happen to have already been farming Jabba. So you get an extra 10 million. So now you're at, call it 70 to 80 million. So you only need 20 to 30 million more to get here. And then someone boosts up a couple of relics on the Old Republic team because they're really into Cal, and so they're Zalbar strong, and then they bump up Mission or whatever, and you get an extra 10 million there. You can kind of piece together really quick, small additions to get to whatever the jump is. But I guess I should rename this video. Thank you for watching for 10 minutes. Wow. I think I should rename this Don't Farm Jabba, I guess, is the more accurate version of this video. Now, if you want to farm Jabba because he is an absolutely busted GAC team, then you can do that. That's fine. But if you're farming Jabba for the express purpose of, man, the rewards suck, I don't want to do the Sith raid, we really got to push, don't expect anything fantastic as far as the raid is concerned, because one, the raid might not exist by the time you have Jabba, but also if everyone else is not also doing it, if your goal is to help your guild, you've accomplished literally nothing. So what can we do? If you're a guild leader, I would say tell everyone to farm your Tuskens to at least gear 12. If you get them to gear 12, you can get, I don't even know what it is. Let me actually tell you a definitive number. If you can get them to gear 12, you can get an extra, call it, whatever, what's 450,000? 450,000. Oh my God, it's so late, I can't even do math. That's an extra 22 million right there. An extra 22 million just to get them to gear 12. If you get them to R3, I think what is 900,000 times 50? That's what, 45 million, something like that. Can I do math? Times 50, 400, yeah, 45 million. Like, that'll give you an extra 45 million, extra 22 to 45 million. A couple of people will just generically on their own bump up some Mandalorians. They'll bump up some Old Republic. Maybe a couple of people have Jawa. Maybe 5 to 10 people were already farming Jabba, and you're going to kind of get there. So just essentially tell people to farm Tuskens. Tell people to farm Tuskens is basically what guild leaders can do. If you're a player in the guild, I implore you to not make the mistake that a lot of people who come to me kind of retroactively make. A lot of people were doing this really weird thing where they weren't. It's not that it's bad to follow the meta. It's that they were following the meta too far behind. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, this is like an entirely other video, so I guess you're getting two, very thought-provoking concepts in one video, so this might be a longer video. But keeping up with the meta is important for free-to-play players. I guess if you're spending money, you can keep up with the meta because you're spending money. But for free-to-play players, and I'll throw in low spenders because a lot of low spenders get mad that I don't include them when I talk about free-to-play stuff, chasing the meta is important, right? Like, if you got on Jabba the second Jabba was announced, you're probably sitting pretty. You're probably doing fantastic in GAC, and you're probably doing fantastic in the raid. Same thing with the Inquisitors. If you did the Inquisitors and you got into a guild that got Reva, you're probably doing fantastic in GAC, and you're loving life, right? I think we're in a very defining moment right now with the Leviathan and stuff like that. If you're on top of the Leviathan now, we don't even know what the fucking requirements are, but if you're not making headwinds, gear, character shards, relics, and stuff like that to likely Leviathan, you're going to be too far behind. So you can chase the meta if you chase it before it happens, kind of, right? Like, I think a lot of people were really pushing squad arena teams while I was telling people to get wide. And then, of course, we lost crystals in squad arena and GAC happened. And then the people that were listening and went really wide were getting tons more crystals because of GAC. Same thing with, farming Profundity. I told people to get on Profundity, and now you're getting crazy amounts of crystals in GAC. And, if you already had Executor and you got Profundity, you're probably already doing all right in Fleet Arena. But, I mean, you get to the point where you can Fleet only and you're getting way more crystals there. I feel like we're in another place right now where it's too late to hop on Jabba. That train is passed unless you already got Jedi Knight Luke. You already have, the ability to strike at Jabba. That's fine. Go for it. He's fantastic in GAC. Probably the best team in the game right now. Right now, we're in a Leviathan meta. Like, the Leviathan is the thing that you should be farming right now. Post-Leviathan, I'd say I'm going to farm Rey after that. But post-Leviathan, Tuskens. Post-Leviathan, adding a couple of backbone teams. Post-Leviathan, cleaning up some ships for, the Chimera fleet or whatever, right? But it's too late to farm Jabba, unfortunately, right? You're still going to get value out of him, obviously, because he's a great GAC team. But by the time you do get it, the next GL will be out. There'll be a backbone team, kind of like Afro with its Datacron, that'll have a Datacron, and Jabba will become useless on defense again. Honestly, the meta is too fast right now to farm GLs. It's kind of a sad thing to think. It's a sad state that we live in. Like, if you're not caught up on backbone, we don't live in a GAC meta. So yeah, I guess you got 2 videos in one. All of the most important and very early stage discussions on all this stuff happen in the best place in the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes community, the Patreon Discord. So if you want to click the link in the description, join the Patreon. All the cool people hang out there. We're starting up the PP podcast again. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a series like once a week. I'm just going to interview top-down Galaxy of Heroes streamers. So I might start with Arnold, or I might finish with Arnold. I'll do like 8 episodes a season or something like that. And we'll talk about, the game, obviously, but also talk about, some personal stuff, some business stuff, their content strategy, just all sorts of I like the nerdy content creation stuff, so you might get some of that. But as always, I love you, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.